Peace. This is Watch for Wise Words Media, back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, breaking news. We just got confirmation of a major pay-per-view going down. Our first big one of the year has been announced, and it's going down on Saturday, March 30th, when Australia's own Tszyu travels to the United States to put his WBO title on the line against Keith one-time Thurman. And the co-feature of this pay-per-view, which I'm really excited to see, in the co-main event, you have WBA lightweight champion Romero taking on Pitbull Cruz. So this one is going to be a very, very action-packed pay-per-view. I mean, just those four men alone, those four names, those are guys that come in to throw punches. They come in to crack. And, you know, there's somebody I have a feeling is getting knocked out, or multiple people are getting knocked out on this fight card. Because this is people that throw punches in bunches. They come in there with bad intention. And, yeah, I'm hyped personally more for the co-feature in this one between Romero and Pitbull Cruz, because Rolly, as we saw in the Tank Davis fight, Rolly not only he gets a lot of credit for throwing bombs, for throwing with mean intention. But one thing we saw and learned about Rolly in the Tank fight was that he knows how to control distance. He knows how to utilize because he's taller for that weight class. So he knows how to use his reach, use his jab to maintain distance, and then he uses that to set up some of these punches. So you have that element going up against a Pitbull Cruz who knows how to cut distance. He knows how to, Pitbull Cruz, one thing, he's a very skilled boxer. He knows how to move his head well, moves his upper body well, and he changes levels. He likes to go head, body, head. And he keeps you guessing. He changes levels. He moves his head well. He's a very good boxer, and he knows how to cut distance. So that will be interesting. Who will be able to impose their will? Will Romero be as successful as he was in the early rounds against Tank, maintaining distance, holding that jab out there, and setting up his right hand with the jab while he maintains that distance? Or will we get a Pitbull Cruz that moves around, moves his upper body a lot, moves his head, jabs the stomach, works his way in, and then starts throwing those combinations, those overhand rights that he likes to throw? So we're going to see in that battle who's going to have their way, and that should be a fun fight to watch. And then that will lead us right into the pay-per-view's main event, which will be Tszyu coming to the States, defending his title against Keith Thurman. So Keith Thurman, who's been inactive for some time, but we still have to respect his championship pedigree, what he's brought to the sport. And in his prime, Keith Thurman had high IQ. Not only did he hit with mean intention, but he was a good boxer. That's the thing that a lot of people, we got so used to the one-time moniker that he hits you one time and you're down, and he's got this lightning, this thunderous punch. But part of that is set up through his boxing skill. Keith Thurman has good footwork, and he utilizes his jab while he's moving around. So, it's a shame that everybody has their own ups and downs in their personal life. So, it's a shame that for some reason or another, because we haven't really heard that it was due to like any major injuries, why Keith Thurman has been inactive for so long. But it's good to hear that Keith Thurman's back. He was definitely one of the bigger names in the sport in the past generation. And to have him return on a big stage like this against one of the best fighters at that junior middleweight division, which is Tszyu, whose name has picked up, tremendously, especially since he's been calling out Jermell Charlo And they were set to fight before Charlo had his injury, and then before a bigger opportunity presented itself, fighting Canelo Alvarez, and Charlo opted to go that route. But prior to that, Tszyu's name been picking up a lot, and then the night that Charlo fought Canelo, his title, the WBA stripped him. The moment that bell rang, they stripped him of that title because he didn't make the mandatory defense against Tszyu. So Tszyu ended up fighting for the vacant WBO title, and he ended up winning that title. So right now, we're going to see Tszyu, Keith Thurman, and I believe the winner of that Tszyu-Keith Thurman fight is going to be big, because that fight will set up most likely a Terrence Bud Crawford fight, who is looking to move up to 154, and we've heard rumblings about him wanting Tszyu, so I think this is going to be the setup fight to get that Crawford fight, because Crawford still has a contractual obligation to give Errol Spence his rematch. But if the second fight plays out anyway like the first fight, we're looking at a potential Tszyu versus Terrence Crawford fight. And I mean, Crawford versus Tszyu is blockbuster. This fight could be one of the real big fights of 2024 and the second half of 2024, because I mean, that right there is going to be two skilled boxers that have a lot of power. Not only are they good boxers, not only are they heavy punches, but they are boxer punchers. So they can put punches together in bunches, but they also have that one devastating punch that could make it lights out for you, or at least have you trying to work a 10 count, working your way back up from it. So first big pay-per-view announced. I know this year so far it's been a little slow hearing about like big fights coming up, and a lot of it is due to the transition that the PBC series is undergoing. They are, as you may have heard earlier, months ago, that Showtime Championship Boxing is no more. The end of an era. I know you can look back in my catalog. I made a video about that, the end of the era. And PBC ended up inking a deal with Amazon Prime. So because of those business transactions, because if you think back, PBC already always had historically like a big fight in January. They always had that. So this year we didn't get a big fight in January, and most likely it's due to the fact that they're still working out this new deal with their streaming service in Amazon Prime, and who's going to get what slots, what days. So there's a lot of business that has to be ironed out with this new deal. But yeah, the first big one has been announced. Tszyu versus Keith Thurman, and Romero versus Pitbull Cruz. I'm looking forward to that fight. Drop some comments in the comment section. Let me know who y'all think wins these fights. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.